Hello, and how are you? My name is Aime, and I will be your hypnotherapy coach. And we will start with the basics of hypnosis. I hope if you have any questions, you can definitely email me or call me at the information that was provided to you in the curriculum. So let's start a little bit about understanding what is hypnosis. Hypnosis is a natural state. In fact, most of us are hypnotized many times during each day. And for example, when we're driving, we are hypnotized because we have a very much strict awareness attention to one thing. Sometimes we arrive to our house and we don't know how we got there. We ask this question, I don't even know how I got here. It's because your subconscious, that we will discuss a little later, it is programmed already to take you where you have been going for many years in your life. So when people ask, can I be hypnotized? The answer is you already are hypnotized. So most of us are very suggestible. That means that we accept a lot of suggestions. So it is very easy to get hypnotized. And here are some other times when people experience hypnosis: becoming absorbed by a good book. When you're reading, you're experiencing a movie, that's where you're hypnotized. Driving, like I told you before, becoming bored or allowing your mind to go into your next trip, your future, your dreaming, right? So that also could be a state of hypnosis. So when you are engaged in something so focused and so aware, that is a natural occurring hypnosis state. Okay. So if you have any questions, please, again, you can email me and I will be more specific about this. But I am going to try to be very simple in all of these explanations. So hypnosis is a state which you can think clearly and your imagination is really active. That's why children from 7 and young adults up to 21 years are the most easy to be hypnotized. A little after that is not as hard, but as an adult, we become so programmed and so toxic that sometimes it's really it's just about trusting who you are so you can become more aware of the things that you can accomplish in that dream state or sleep state of mind, right? So also it's a state where you could move if you want it, and or if there's an emergency, you can open your eyes, right? But you would just rather remain delightfully relaxed, and that is the main priority that we look with the clients that we hypnotize. It is a state with which beneficial ideas can move more quickly and easily and gain access to the inner mind. And because we all experience trance each day, we can understand how safe it is. So when you're watching a movie, you're pretty safe. When you're driving, you are pretty safe because you are in control. And this means that in hypnosis, you're absolutely in control. So I want you to start understanding that there's three state of minds, and this is very important because the state of mind is everything, right? Happiness is a state of mind, sickness is a state of mind and body, because always everything starts here with an emotion. There was an emotional impact or imprint, and we just want to understand where is the imprint going to be attached. And as a hypnotherapist, you want to be very thorough with this information to your clients prior to lay them down or to sit them down comfortably. Okay. So the first state of mind is the conscious mind. The conscious mind is your objective, your thinking mind. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm being very logical, I'm being very reasonable, and it has no memory. It only can hold one thought at a time. And this is very essential for different functions, right? First, it identifies incoming information. This information is received through any of the six senses like sight, sound, smell, or taste, or touch, or feeling. So your conscious mind is continually observing and categorizing what is going on around you. And this is what the conscious mind does. The second function of the conscious mind is comparison. right? Since we're little, we're instead of teaching us collaboration, they show us competition and comparison. You look at something like a little child, you look at a male, and if you're a male, like, oh, I am a male, I am comparing myself to my dad or to my uncle or to any person around me. And that is with everything, you start comparing yourself. The third function is your conscious mind is analytical, right? It's always precedes analysis. I am reasoning, I want to understand the why, the how, and the who. So we question a lot, and that's what the conscious mind do. It's more of the ego, right? The thinking mind. And the fourth is deciding. Your conscious mind functions very much like a binary computer and performing two functions, either accepts or reject data. It's like a computer in making choices and decisions, and it can deal with only one thought at a time, positive or negative, yes or no. And if we are in the male side, we know women can handle a little bit more at the same time. We're multifaceted. We can do many things at a time, but the male is more, it's more one thing at a time. You know, how can I make a solution with one thing at a time? So this is their conscious mind, and I like to call it the stupid mind, because here know that you can solve anything. So it's very important to explain to your client this before you do anything with it. So we're going to go through steps. The second is the subconscious mind. And this is our virus, right? This is the virus, the computer. And by the time you reach the 21 years old, you already permanently store more than 100 times the content of your entire Britannica encyclopedia. So I want you to understand, the more impressions we get in our lives, the more things we're going to have in our subconscious mind. The function of your subconscious mind to store and retrieve data. It's just to ensure that you respond exactly the way you are programmed, and your subconscious mind make everything you say and do to fit a pattern consistent to your self-concept of your master program. And this is very important, because here is where the culture, the religion, the society program us. And we were sometimes very bad programmed by our parents. So you need to be really careful here in what people believes. And it doesn't matter what they believe. If they believe in God, in Allah, in Buddha, it does not matter. That is very deeply into your subconscious. In the hypnosis, you will work with that with the client. So your subconscious mind is subjective, so it does not think or reason independently. It merely obeys the command, and it receives it from your conscious mind. Whatever you say, whatever language you hear, however your teachers, your mother, your caregivers told you, that's how you're going to operate in this world. So you have to be very aware in this precision moment when you are explaining your client what is the subconscious mind, and you retrieve a lot of information here on how you can handle and better manage that subconscious mind when you are under trance. And again, like I said before, these are imprints in your mind. So your subconscious mind is a unquestioning servant, and servant is a great word for that, that works day and night to make your behavior fits a pattern consistent with your emotionalized thoughts, hopes, and desires. Your subconscious mind grows either flowers or weeds in the garden of your life, whichever you plant by the mental equivalent you're create. This is what you become, whatever you were programmed into, that's what you're creating in your life. That's mostly where you repeat the patterns of the caretakers that you had in your life, and teachers and friends and so forth. So your subconscious mind is what we call the homeostatic impulse, and it keeps your body temperature from 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, just as it keep you breathing regularly. It keeps you breathing at a certain rate and through an automatic nervous system, and maintains your balance, harmony, or stress, depending on how you are feeding your nervous system. And it also practices your homeostasis. So that's why hypnosis is so marvelous, because if you have a person with anxiety or trauma, and that's my major type of patient, I want to go to the subconscious to really understand the patterns that they have, and the way they breathe, the way they feel, how they speak. So this is our very important information. All the heartbeats are there, the thinking patterns, whatever you memorize. So this is it, my friends. This is where we're going to do the masterwork of hypnosis. And third is the unconscious mind. And here is where I tell my clients, this is where sickness appear. This is where the heart attacks, the cancers, the diabetes, the any illness, the chronic illness, is where it belongs and starts. And that's why it's very important to be conscious and about what we give the unconscious mind and the subconscious mind so we don't get sick, because it is already known that most of our illnesses are just basically stored in subconscious mind. So firstly, it controls the bodies. That's why I said it could go to sickness in our body. The autonomic unconscious functions of the body, for example, breathing, the reflexes. It is the blueprint of what you created in your life. It is the domain of emotions. So we are consciously giving the unconscious mind the changes that we feel and the changes of our emotion. Organize the memories and recall them in a sequence, like a movie or a timeline in our minds. So as we continue living our lives, the unconscious mind will relate into the things of the past, and it could be either negative or positive. So we can attach to a negative emotion to a current state based that experience that we recall. So any changes that the way we feel, the unconscious mind will recall it, and that we can change the correct state and how we feel. And then is how sickness begins. So if I wake up every morning and I look at the mirror and I said, oh my God, I'm so ugly, and I do that 365 days a week, you are programmed that information into your subconscious. And by default, unconsciously, anybody that look at you is going to be the reflection of what you believe it is, and you're going to reassure, reaffirm, and live through that message that unconsciously you're putting in your brain. So these are the three state of minds. This is the first thing after you initially tell your client or patient, hey, this is what we're going to cover. This is the definition of hypnosis, and these are the three state of mind. So this is a very important part of how I explain my patient before I already decide to do hypnosis with them. So let's start a little briefly with the history of hypnosis. You can run back and put pause and read the whole thing, but I just want to go very deeply in how long ago was hypnosis. And my friends, it is an absolute miracle tool that I've been using for many, many years in hundreds of my patients. So I encourage you to really try it. It's not dangerous, it's super it's an old technique, and you will see by this history. So it's in 980 there was a distinction between sleep and hypnosis, right? And in this book of healing, which was published in 1027, Avicenna referred this hypnosis in Arabic as al-Walid, that is, one could create a condition in another person so he and she can accept reality of hypnosis. Then in Western culture, hypnotism starts in 1493 to 1541, and a Swiss physician started to use magnets. I have a technique that I use biomagnets, and it's absolutely amazing. And these are new things. These are things that has been going from a long, long time. Then Johann Joseph Gessner, is a Catholic priest, believed that disease was caused by evil spirits and could be exorcised by incantation and prayer. So hypnosis is about repeating, and the subconscious and unconscious accepting. 1771, a Viennese Jesuit named Maximilian Hell was using magnets to heal and applying these steel pellets in the body. So it was a most of these people were doctors. I want you to understand. Mesmer was one of the first that were talked to me in the history of hypnosis. He was from German, and he was a physician as well. And he was introduced the introduction of pain control via hypnosis. and through the mysterious universal force, which could be affected by the animal magnetism. If you remember this phrase, the animal magnetism was created by Mesmer. So he was always using magnetism, and he recognized both the patient believed that it was magnetism which drew to the illness from her body, and is now generally accepted the patient miracle's recovery was more likely produced by the suggestion. Here he start understanding what is the power of suggestion mean, and we will talk a little bit more about it. But it is, everything is in life, if you see any commercials, it's just suggestions and you accept it or not. This is a marketing strategy. So if your brain is more in tune with these, your patient will be more likely to accept. James Braid started in 1795 to 1860, and more he was known as the father of hypnosis, and he started to use the hypnosis as a medicine doctor, and he was also used a little bit of mesmer techniques as well. And he was first suggestion was a neuronology. He used that term. It was to help to sleep and rest. The people had problems sleeping. So then he just continued with the sleep thing until he favored the word neurohypnotism, and from the hypno, the Greek god of sleep. So he started using that name of hypnosis. Further in, we go to James S. Dale, and he was a doctor who started referring as mesmerism, as the same doctor that we talked before. And he was a British medical doctor, and mostly he started using with fellow surgeons, and he performed a lot of surgeries under hypnosis. It was more the physician to this day, he was using that, and he used in Europe and Scotland those techniques as well. He was very famous from mesmerism in India, and about 161 cases operated that type of hypnosis technique, and mortality dropped like 5% when he was using hypnosis. Hypnosis is great when you want to use it for um, people that go to the dentist. I use it self hypnosis when I go to the dentist and I need to use any procedures. It's absolutely amazing when they're giving me injections or anything like that. It's a great tool. Then we go to Ambroise, and he was from 1823 to 1904. Was French physician, again, animal magnetism, and he created the co-founding of the Nancy School of Hypnotism, and it was fundamental about the suggestibility of hypnosis. And he was the second to believe of the school was the hypnotic state was normal for the human body to enter. So look at all this background history, and later on read it if you like to. But I want to, my main point here is that this is not new, my friend. This is something that goes back in time, and it's an absolutely amazing tool with no harms effect. Then we go to Emily Q. Um, Again, this is another doctor that was the founder of the Nancy School, other known as the Suggestion School. And it was, again, suggestibility. They were giving an opinion, and of course, they see that people, when they are relaxed, they go to a high suggestible state. Like most of us, we go with a very suggestible state when we're drunk or drugged. So this has no side effect, and you can go to the same state even if you're drunk or you're under drugs with hypnosis. And when people are in drunk state, they are so free and they tell you the truth. So for me, it's about telling the truth to yourself, and you are the one that can heal yourself. So moving forward, Milton Erickson, this is one of the first techniques that I learned. is considered the father of modern hypnotherapy, and he was stricken with polio when he was young at the age of 17, and he was not expected to survive. He was in his room in a wheelchair. He was not able to move or able to speak. And, there was not a lot of modern technology that we have today, but he often looked around his window and he imagined himself running and playing, and he actually had that ability to cure himself. So it was very interesting the way he took upon his life, and he kept his mind active and occupied and play mental games with himself. And at what point he gave himself direct commands like, I'm excited, I'm graded, and I can move my legs. And he actually rocked the chair, and eventually he was actually, I think he was the one that took care of his own illness, right? Um, and so he was a few years until he was able to start walking again. And he said, everyone is an individual and his own thoughts friend. In his practice, he tailored every induction to the client's individual needs and perceptual bias. Again, whatever the person believe, you go ahead with their belief. You don't have to impose your own beliefs. So he believed that the job of the therapist is to help the client reestablish their connection with their inner resources and develop rapport between the conscious and the unconscious mind. So this is what mostly we do today. When I go into hypnosis with my clients, I ask specific questions and I will further give you this information. And as they have more knowledge and you have more knowledge, you can go in deeper and play with the mind and suggest better information. And finally, just to cover the basics, this was a more or less a historic aspect of it for you to know that this is not new. Has been coming from a long time. But also the client will ask you, there's a few myths about hypnosis, and let's go into it because this is something that you have to let them know. So there's a few myths, and I'm going to cover just a few here. The first misconception of hypnosis is that we are asleep, right? And people will experience hypnosis as very, very relaxed, but they're in a hypnotic state and they can be awake at any time. Actually, I prefer them knowing what is happening so they can relate to me and we can close in a better way our sessions. Number two, people think that they're gonna be stuck in trance and they're not gonna wake up. So no one have done that, and I've hypnotized hundreds of people, and again they can wake up in any moment they want to. Even if I leave, they can wake up. And some people believe that to be hypnotized you must have a weak mind. Nothing could be further for the truth, because hypnosis, the more intelligent you are, the more able you are to receive rules and to follow different orders. It's going to be easier for you to hypnotize someone. So everyone can be hypnotized if they want to. Again, the mind is a powerful thing. If they don't want to, nobody can force them. And another myth is your morals and ethics remain intact. In other words, you won't do anything against your will. You can reject or accept suggestions. It's your decisions. That's why I always tell um, my students, if they want to be in the same line as the client, please ask them, do you believe in God? Do you believe in whatever? So let's go and use that. Your ethics are going to remain the same. If you are a male, treating a woman is very important. I suggest to record the session so there is no misconceptions or anything. I try to record my sessions online if I can. If I always ask permissions, and I will share it only with medical doctors or with the client itself. And because hypnosis is not a truth serum. People can lie with experiencing hypnosis. In hypnosis, the psychological law of self-preservation is in effect, so you can control and choose what you say to me. Although, if you're in a safe environment, and I have a lot of sexually abused people and or people that have diseases in their organs, they're open if they trust you and you can preserve that safe space for them. It would be greater to work with them because you can release that part that they are hidden. And most people think that experiencing hypnosis, they must become unconscious, and that is probably the most common misconception about hypnosis. In hypnosis, you're aware and can hear clearly. In fact, hypnosis is straight of increased awareness. In a trance, your hearing may be sharper, you may be solar sensations, and your imagination and memory are enhanced. So again, you have different state types of hypnosis. What I do is clinical hypnosis in a safe environment, but you may also go to cruise ship and you see this magical type of theater hypnosis. That's a show, is a different from therapeutical hypnosis. And I believe that if you offer that setting, if you have great credentials and great ethics, that's the most important, to show them that these are myths and they're not reality or truth. So these have been the end of the first chapter. I hope you have had clear your mind about what is hypnosis, basics of hypnosis, this history of hypnosis that is not new, is something that has come many, many years ago. Three states of mind, and finally, the myth of hypnosis. My name is Jaime Boglio. I'm a holistic coach here in Puerto Rico. I do private settings and private healings. And I hope if you have any questions, you can contact me or email me, and I will be gladly to respond to any answers to any questions. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day. Ciao, ciao.